Howdy folks, welcome to Katie Phillips Scrapbook Designs. I'm Katie and today we're working on pages number 1 and 6 in the All for Fall mini album. For this album, I am using a collection that I designed and I have for sale in my Etsy shop. I will link to it in the description box down below. Before we dive into pages 1 and 6, I do want to do a little bit of additional decorating on the outside of the album. I tested this just to make sure that this was going to work, and I think it looks pretty good. So I'm going to duplicate that here on the back. And I'm going to start with adding some double-sided tape right here along the right side of that seam. And I forgot to wrap it around the top, but I am going to wrap it around the bottom. And now I'm going to come back to the top and very carefully wrap some double-sided tape over the top just to help hold everything in place. Burnish everything down. The double-sided tape is really going to just help hold the lace down while the glue dries. And make sure which way we went. Okay. So I'm going to cut a section that is a little bit longer than the album cover. And now we're going to pull up the double-sided tape's release paper. And this is just some lace that I got from my Dollar Tree. This thicker section here is what I'm going to lay down on the double-sided tape. And wrap it around the inside of the album. And now we're going to cut off the excess. And I just want a little bit of glue. Right there. And right there. To hold that down. Now we're going to come to the back side of the album and I'm going to pull up just a little bit and I'm just going to place a very thin strand of glue right there. Now that is done. I also grabbed a piece of chipboard and I also found this at my local Dollar Tree. So be sure to check out your local Dollar Tree. I want to add this right here. And I'm going to use liquid glue for that. Now, this chipboard was just plain chipboard. It wasn't colored. What did I use? I think it was Berry Wine by Prima Marketing. It's an older Prima Marketing spray paint that I'm not even sure if they sell it anymore. If I find it online, I will link it in the description box down below. But the color just matched everything so perfectly that I had to go with it. So now we're going to set the cover aside And let's start talking about pages 1 and 6. Now, similar to the Our Happy Place mini album, we're going to be doing some mirrored pages, which means 1 and 6 are going to be the same. We have 2 base pages. These are 7 inches by 6 inches. We're going to score the 7-inch side at 6.5 and 6 1/4. We have 2 3 by 6 flaps. We're going to score the 6-inch side at 5.5 inches. We have 2 7 1/4 by 3-inch pockets. We're going to score the 7 1/4 inch side at 1/2 inch, fold that under, and then score at 6 1/4. The 3-inch side, we're going to score at 2.5 inches. And we have 2 folios. They are 10.5 by 5.5, and we're going to score the 10.5 inch side at 5 1/4. For solid cardstock, we have 2 base mats. They are 6 1/8 by 7 1/8. We have 2 flap mats. They are 2 7/8 by 5 3/8. 2 pocket mats. They are 6 1/8 by 2 3/8. And 2 folio mats. They are 5 3/8 by 5 1/8. We have in pattern paper 2 base mats. They are 6 by 4 1/4. We have 2 flat mats. They are 2 3/4 by 5 1/4. 2 pocket mats. They are 6 by 2 1/4. And 2 folio mats. They are 5 by 5 1/4. So let's get started with scoring everything. And then we will start assembling the base page with the pocket and the flap. All right, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add the flaps to the base pages. And we want to make sure that we've got the spine tab on opposite sides. So this one will end up being page 1, and this one will end up being page 6. I'm just going to add some glue to the 2 tabs on these flaps. Now I'm going to just kind of eyeball the center from side to side. I want to make sure that the score line comes up right to the top of the page. Now, decision time. Do I want to round the corners? You know what? I think I want to round the corners. Let me grab my corner. I'm going to grab my corner punch. We're going to set these aside for a sec. Now we're going to work on the pocket assembly. And for the pockets, I do want to do a notch on the pockets. And that's going to be a little bit tricky. Let me grab a ruler. All right, I'm going to mark a spot at, see, that is, the 2 score lines are 6 1/4 inches apart, so I am going to mark 3 1/8. That is right at the halfway point. Three 1/8 again. And I'm doing this on the back side of the pocket so that it won't be visible in the front. And I'm going to center that on my notch. There we go. I'm going to repeat that for this one. Now I'm going to grab my 2 sets of pocket mats. And now I'm going to line this up to double check it. That looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. And if you wanted to make a hidden pocket here, you totally could, just by not gluing down this top section here where the notch is. Be a little bit close on one side, but I can live with that. before I add the second mat, I want to go ahead and do the base page matting. So I'm going to add double-sided tape around the edges of all 3 tabs. Give it a good burnish. And now we're going to cut off the corners. I'm going to go right outside where the 2 score lines meet. I'm going to repeat that for the other pocket. And the reason I'm holding off on the second mat is because we're going to have a magnet closure. Now let's go ahead and grab the 2 base mats in both sets. So we're going to take the 6 1/4 by or 6 by 4.5 base mat, add some glue to the back of it. And I'm going to glue it along the top of one of the larger base mats. This section here is going to be covered by the pocket, so it's no big deal that it's not double matted. In fact, it saves a little bit of bulk in the pocket. I'm not sure where that cut off. So right now we've got our 2 pockets formed, and gluing these down to our base page. Give that a good burnish. We're going to repeat that for our other base page. I really need this camera to start clicking at me or something when it cuts off. Okay, now we're going to add magnets. Come on, I need 4 magnets. There's 2. There's 4. So we're going to secure 1 magnet to the outside of the flap with some double-sided tape. Now we're going to repeat that for the other page. Add a magnet to the outside of the flap. Flip it over to the other side. Drop the second magnet on top. Slide some double-sided tape underneath and drop it back down again. And now we're going to fold it closed and press down so that that double-sided tape will hold the second magnet down. Okay, so the second, the second mat for each of these pockets is 6 inches wide. So I want to make us a mark at 3 inches. And now I'm going to punch it. Let's eyeball that to see if that's going to fit. That is perfect. So I'm going to pull out my double-sided tape here. Add some glue. Because of where the magnet is placed, I wouldn't recommend doing a hidden pocket with this mat. Just because that would add some extra bulk between the two magnets and they won't catch as easily. Once again, we're going to mark 3 inches on our second mat. We're going to double check that before we glue it down. Perfect. Right now we're going to add the mats to the outside of the flap. Before we do that, we want to go ahead and round those corners on at least 2 of the corners. And now we're ready to add these to the front of our flaps. And now it's time for the folios. So very simple. We're just going to double mat the folios. And then lay them down on top of. We're going to assemble the double mats and then lay them down on top of the folios. So I'm going to take one of the 5 by 5 1/4. And we're going to glue that down to one of the 5 1/8 by 5 3/8. Both a good burnish. Now, what do I want to do to the outside of these? These flaps here. They need something. All right, I die cut some of these. These are fancy label shapes, but I used some nesting dies to create some frames here. Got some acetate and pattern paper. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take some thin double-sided tape and go around both of these frames. burnish all this down. And now I'm going to pull up the release paper. And I'm going to lay down the acetate on top. And get it as well. That was pretty far off. I'm going to have to come around and trim some of this out. Let's see if I can do better with the second one. Not by much. This is where it's going to get challenging. And I'm sorry if my head gets in the way. I am having a hard time seeing. So, quick look. It's okay. And continue. And we're going to repeat this for the other one. And this shaker mix will be available in my Etsy shop, and I think I only need 1 scoop for each of these. Even that might be too much. Let's go with half a scoop. Maybe a little bit more. now all we need is a little bit of glue. Alright, now we are done with pages 1 and 6. I may do a little more embellishing. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more mini album related content. I release new videos right now every Friday. Hopefully within the next album or two, I'll be back to every Tuesday and Friday. I will leave links to all the materials and the paper collection in the description box down below, as well as the shaker collection. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.